In Los Angeles, in the mid-1980s, in a predominantly black middle-class area known as South Central, a predator stalked the streets. He was cunning, patient, and ruthless. His name was Lonnie Franklin Jr., the man we would come to know as the Grimm Sleeper. Then in the late 1990s, nearly 3,000 miles away, Belize City was struck by terror. Between 1998 and 2000, at least 5 schoolgirls, ages 8 to 14, were abducted and murdered. Their bodies were discarded along highways, rivers, and quarries. The press called the mystery killer the Belize Jack the Ripper. So what do these two strings of violent murders have in common? Being that they are thousands of miles apart and happen several years apart? First, we must start off with the question, who was the Grimm Sleeper? From 1985 to 1988, Lonnie Franklin murdered at least 10 women in South Los Angeles. They were often shot or strangled, their bodies dumped in alleys and abandoned lots. He targeted women who were alone, or who were sex workers, or even those that had drug abuse issues. His victims were vulnerable, young, and sometimes ignored. He was strategic, and he blended into his community, a mechanic, a father, even friendly with neighbors. But at night, he was something very different. The first known victim of the Grimm Sleeper, Deborah Jackson, 29, was shot 3 times in the chest on August 10, 1985 in the Vermont Slauson area. At the time of Jackson's death, the city was in a particularly dark period when widespread cocaine use, rampant crime, and vicious killings were rife in South Los Angeles. 3 years passed before police realized that something larger was occurring, when ballistics tests showed that the same handgun used to kill Jackson had been used in 7 other killings. But on his last outing on November 19, 1988, Lonnie Franklin crossed paths with a then 27-year-old Enetra Washington, who was walking her usual route to her friend's house before heading to a party. She was offered a ride to her friend by Lonnie, and after refusing the ride at first, she got in his car. This wrong move ended up with Enetra eventually being shot in her chest and begging for her life. After losing consciousness, she woke up to find Lonnie on top of her. The next thing she remembers is fighting to open the car door and Lonnie pushing her out on the street side to die. However, she was able to regain consciousness and reach her friend's house, where the police and ambulance were called.
No idea why he shot her.
I was still in the hospital room, and the detective said, "Oh, we got the bullet," and I'm like, okay.
What investigators do not tell Enetra is that the slug taken from her body matches the .25 caliber slugs taken from 9 previous victims.
Enetra, this is our first known surviving victim. That was a big break. We need all the help that we can get, and there's a possibility that she could help identify him.
It is believed that this is the reason why Lonnie eventually went underground and was dormant for several years, knowing there was a survivor who might be able to ID him. It is believed that Lonnie decided to leave America to escape arrest after this. Since his wife was a Belizean, it is believed he traveled back and forth to Belize within his dormant years in the US. But was he really dormant? The timing was chilling. Franklin's murders in Los Angeles had gone silent, but here in Belize, a new wave of killings emerged with disturbing similarities. Young victims taken in transit, sexual assault, violent deaths, and bodies dumped in accessible places. But what if Lonnie Franklin didn't act alone during these missing years? What if instead he came to Belize, not only to escape detection, but also to train someone else, to pass on his methods, his control, his taste for violence? Lonnie Franklin's wife, Sylvia Castillo, had her Belizean relatives living in Belize City, and according to media reports, Lonnie Franklin himself was seen there during the late 1990s. Even his van, which was said to be used in earlier murders, was later found in Belize.
Year-old Shirley Nicholas 12-year-old Jackie Malik, 14-year-old Naomi Hernandez, and 9-year-olds Jay Blades and Wills. It has been almost 2 decades since the shocking murders, but the memories and unsolved mystery of their deaths still haunt their families.
Our old-time neighbor, Michael Williams, now, he approached us and say, let me take you to school. That time, me, my sister, and that girl who usually went to school together, he said to us, let's take you to school. And my sister wanted to go because she was already late for morning class. But I get this feeling that, like, I just said no. I don't know why I said it, but I just said no. We all went to school. And after that, when it's time to go home for lunch, I went for my sister so that we can go home. And the teacher says that my sister didn't come back to her class. The girl that we usually, all of us come to school together, she said someone says they want to see my sister outside. And I said, who? She said, a man in a car, a dark man. I don't know if he's tall or strapped. All she says it was a dark man. And I ran home quickly and I said it to my grandmother. And we went looking from that time until the night, no answer.
I got with one of my nieces. One of my nieces come and ask her to make it go with her. And I get her ready and everything and I make it go with her.
Where did they go?
Wrong by Anglican school. Wrong by Southern Ghana. Then afterwards she sent her back. She sent her back make it come like I say, ready for come home. And she never bring her back by herself. She never bring her. She sent her by herself.
It was 8th of September, my daughter, Shirley Nicholas went to school and she didn't return. When I went home from work, she usually be the first to come home and eat, you know? And when I find out that her rest of brother and sister came home and she didn't reach, she usually be the first, I figured that something was wrong. So I went to school and found out, and the teacher told me that she wasn't at school. And then I knew something was wrong because my children are not the type to go around missing from school or things like that.
Little did they know that their daughters and sister would turn up dead. It was some 100 meters down this feeder road where the mutilated and dismembered body of Jackie Malik was discovered back on March 25th, 1999. This was 2 days after she was reported missing by family members. Ironically, it is also where the Homeland Memorial Park, a resting place for the dead, now sits.
She was found with multiple stab wounds. Her left arm was no longer there, and she get run over a car, and her body was face down in the water, in a little pond of water.
It's been 18 years since the body of Shirley Nicholas was discovered on the George Price Highway, and that same amount of years that her mother, June Gabriel, revisited the location. The last time she was there was when police took her to the site to identify the body of her eldest daughter. It was a month after Shirley had gone missing.
She was found with a lot of stab wounds all over her body. Her arm was almost off. Her face was cut open.
The horrific homicides of these children are still etched in the minds of most Belizeans. Malik's body was dismembered while huge slashes were found on 3, But in the case of Erica Wills, some skeletal remains along with a lock of her hair and some accessories were found in the Gracie Rock village. It was evident that there was a serial killer lurking in the old capital.
In Belize, one suspect arrested during the investigations was also a mechanic. He was accused of offering young girls rides to school. Some believe he was stalking the very same neighborhoods where Franklin's in-laws lived. Could this man have been a student, an apprentice of Franklin himself?
I didn't tell the police that he did it, but he was the only one that wanted to drop us to school. Why he didn't never ask us to drop us to school.
So why then?
No idea. So, and he looked all angry and furious. So, and he didn't want to drop me or the other girls specifically. He wanted to drop only my sister.
Was there anyone that was arrested or detained while this investigation occurred into the murder of Shirley? And does your family suspect anyone? Any person?
No, not that I know of.
So where's that case now? Is it just up in the air?
It's concrete. It's under the ground.
Years later, here's what we know. Whoever killed these girls possibly had some kind of medical training. It appears that there was more than one person involved, and at some point in time, at least 3 of the girls were held at the same place. There was no evidence to support sexual abuse, so the motivation for their killing is perplexing.
Franklin, who was also a mechanic by trade, may have found in this Belizean suspect a like-minded partner. A man who not only had access to vehicles and tools, but also to the same young victims who walked past daily on their way to school. When the murders in Belize abruptly ended in 2000, something else began. By 2002 in Los Angeles, women once again turned up dead. The Grimm sleeper had awakened. This raises an unsettling possibility. Did Franklin leave behind a trained protege in Belize? Someone who acted under his shadow while Franklin himself later resumed in Los Angeles? Key questions remain unanswered to this day. Was Franklin ever officially in Belize during the murders? Were his wife Sylvia and her relatives questioned about his visits? Was the Belizean mechanic merely a local predator, or was he under Franklin's influence? No international investigation ever connected Franklin to Belize. Despite circumstantial evidence, the timing, the family ties, the similar methods, this theory was never fully pursued.
Detectives have arrested a 57-year-old ex-police mechanic in connection with the murders of 10 people.
At about 9:20, we made an arrest here in the 1700 block of 81st Street of the suspect that has been known to many as the Grimm sleeper. The suspect is Lonnie David Franklin. He's 57 years of age.
The serial killer was dubbed the Grimm sleeper because he took a decade hiatus between murders. The case stumped investigators for more than 20 years and haunted South Los Angeles.
The Grimm sleeper was eventually caught when his son was charged for a firearm offense, and his DNA had a familial match to DNA from the crime scenes. He was later convicted of killing 10 women in Los Angeles. He may have killed many more, but in Belize, the young victims of the Ripper remain unavenged. Was Lonnie Franklin simply hiding during those years? Or was he spreading his darkness, training another man to kill in his absence? The truth lies somewhere in the shadows. And until investigators dig deeper, Belize's daughters remain another chapter of the Grimm sleeper's long and terrifying silence. If you